So how's it going, guys? Welcome to what I'm now calling Industry Mind Games, just kind of for fun. So I'm Kid Liquid, and I'm here with Dylan Hornbrook. Yeah, Dylan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Actually, a day off here, so gonna gonna enjoy it by giving an interview. That's
Awesome!
that's just how I relax.
Awesome. So if you guys haven't really tuned in or really know what this is about, general esports interviews generally go with what people have done in esports and really focus on the actions they've taken. And so I wanted to go ahead and do a series of interviews where we go ahead and take a look at what happens before those decisions are made and sort of the mindsets and processes of the people within the industry to sort of get their thoughts on things. So Dylan, we'll start off first. Since I said we weren't going to do this, but where did you get started? What are you doing currently in esports?
Okay, so what I'm doing currently is I currently work as a gaming consultant slash expert slash social media account manager for the Coca-Cola company, more specifically for the Coke Esports Group. Which, if you haven't seen us, we have been the partner with League of Legends over the past year. We've been able to do some great activations, which I'll probably delve into a little bit later. And that is about, I think, all I can say about myself currently. Now, where I got my start, as Chris can mention, I started a collegiate shoutcasting group, which I had begun it natively at my college campus at Georgia Tech, and it kind of snowballed, and it's a good story if we want to get into it. I'll let Chris decide it, but yeah, I really started off with the local school club, and then just I had a burning passion for it, for esports. Wanted to get more and more involved. I was not a good enough player to
Very few of us are.
yeah, with the to go through the time and effort of going pro. So I found something I could do, and luckily it's paid off.
Awesome. So yeah, we can dive into the College of Casting because I love the College of Casting. It's still available, guys. If you go on, what's the Facebook link there?
I think it's facebook.com/college of casting or /group/college of casting. Either way, you can find it. It's an open public group on Facebook. So College of Casting, proper spaces, no funky spelling. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's there.
So guys, if you've not heard about the College of Casting, it's where I also was a little bit part of the College of Casting as well. And Aiden Moon, the current caster for the LCS, was also part of College of Casting.
Yeah, actually, the fun story here is the tournament that really put Aiden on the map. His co-caster for the entire event was actually Chris, which was it was fantastic. There's also a side story to that whole event, which is also funny if you ever want to get into that. Oh, that was a very exciting time in my life.
Yeah, guys, it was the well played stream for I want to say the NA Challenger circuit at PAX, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you guys were doing the NA Challenger qualifiers.
Yes.
I think we had like the first two rounds. We were like the secondary stream. There were so many games going on that they couldn't cover them all with their actual paid casters. So they came to us and said, "Hey, we want to put on a secondary stream. Do you know who could do this?" And Chris was there. Chris was a very good caster. Did his research. Was always on time. And this was actually this was before Aiden really took off, and Aiden had been a very good member of the College of Casting. I feel that I should explain it now since we've actually talked about it a little bit, just so people aren't like, okay, well, what the heck is this thing you guys keep on talking about? The College of Casting was a Facebook group that I started to help amateur casters get their first kind of direction and maybe some starting jobs. Because when I had done casting at Georgia Tech for about 2.5, 3 years before I started the group, and I just found that people were interested, but no one really knew where to start. And I had done a little bit of work with radio baseball in minor league baseball for a rookie ball team. And I'd always been a drama kid, so talking about League of Legends was kind of a natural extension for me. But other people had a hard time catching up, getting adapted, learning kind of the basic rule set. So I started a group at Georgia Tech, which is why I called it the College of Casting, because I was like, oh, this will be fun. It's like the College of Engineering, except it's the College of Casting. run by me with zero budget. So I started off, and we had like 15 kids from tech that I would coach up a little bit. Actually, one of the cool things was we got to do a Q&A with Jaws and Panky. Panky was the one that came in and gave some guest instruction as well. So that was super fun. And once Jaws kind of caught wind of what I was doing at Tech, he told me that there were some people at UCI that would also be interested. And I reached out to a person that I now call a really good friend, Lanvy Wynn, out in UCI, and we talked, and she got the UCI group involved, and I figured, if we've got Georgia Tech and we've got UCI, let's just bring everything in the middle together as well. And I think I spent like 3 hours on Facebook reaching out to every collegiate group I could just to say, hey, this is a service out there. If you want to join up. And after those 3 hours, I kind of left it be and like went to sleep. I think that was like 2 a.m. I went to sleep, woke up the next day at about 8, and the group had ballooned from 15 people to about 150. Maybe even close to 200. And that was how the College of Casting got its start. And I mean, there were some rough spots, but there were some highlights. I met a great group of individuals. It was really kind of my first step out in the space. And I still run it to this day, maybe not as actively as I used to. I'm not, digging out in Reddit posts to find people with job openings. But when people do come by, usually colleges want something cast and they don't have casters available. We lend out casters, we give as much direction, but now it's more of just a place where casters go sometimes to share any notes and talk about the games, talk about casting. So it's a little bit more laid back than it used to be, but I still enjoy running it.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, so if you want to go ahead and check it out, so he was saying that it first started with maybe 15 to 150. It currently sits, I just looked it up, at 540 members. It's very impressive there.
I do wonder how many of those came off like a Facebook spam farm in like Thailand.
You never know.
There are not 500 active people on there, but there's a good
community
there.
still, yeah.
And I mean, I'm proud of what it's for. Aiden was in there from like the very beginning. He joined with that first UCI group, and he has been tremendously successful. I still think he is probably going to go down as one of the best casters we'll see who never actually played professional League of Legends.
Yeah.
He worked so hard, and I was so glad to be a part of the group that helped bring him up. And I think another talented individual you're going to see more and more of
Dominic
is Dominic Romer, caster SATA. He's paid his dues tremendously. He's always on time, always has a smile on his face. Great guy, and I really wish him the best going forward.
Yeah, I think Dominic's going to go far. So yeah, I guess moving on from the last thing we'll say about college casting, I did just go ahead and receive confirmations that I will have Aiden Moon and Lambie Wynn's Industry Mind Games interviews coming up very shortly as well. So
hey, people I know.
Yeah, so I'm going to have those up soon. I'm going to go ahead and try to figure out a schedule for them to go ahead and do this as well. But let's jump into Coke, because I mean, people hear Coca-Cola, it's a huge name, it's a huge brand. So what's an average day of the head of esports at Coke? What's your average day like, Dylan?
Well, first off, I'm not the head. That
okay.
is a.
But you are a individual that works with them. You are a.
I am number 2. I am the number 2 guy. Mainly because we are a 2-man squad. My director is Matt Wolf. He is the head of Coke Global Gaming. He has been an industry veteran for a long time. He came off of, I believe, Sega Electronic Arts, and he was actually on Riot's advisory board when they started. He was one of the guys that was in there on the ground level there. I have no idea why he didn't stay with them, but he's good friends with a lot of the founders at Riot. But that's personal stuff. But he also ran his own video game production company for a long time. So as far as understanding the gaming world, he is absolutely fantastic. And so my average day is, it's a little madcap. More often than not, I get into the office in and around 9 to 10, just depending on commute. I live in Atlanta. We're located in Atlanta. It's a nice place to be. I'm actually one of the few people in Atlanta that can get by not owning a car. Can ride a bus straight to work. So that's fantastic. Really, if you can commute without using a car, it's absolutely fantastic. You would not believe how much money you save in like a year. But I get in 9 to 10. Usually grab my first Coke product as I get in the door, which is one of the perks, and sit down, read emails usually uh, until about 11. And that will also go with just looking around the net, seeing if any news has popped up. So that's uh, looking on Twitter, looking on Reddit. Yes, I do actually get to check the league subreddit for work, which I know a lot of people are like, I could do that. I do that anyway. But yeah, I check the league subreddit because that's the closest thing we get to news in this industry. And yeah, that and the gaming subreddit. So those are major duties before 11. Then usually whatever happens after 11 is a weird mishmash of either planning for social media, event planning, brainstorming, think tanking, general meeting work. It's really a day by day sort of experience that gets shaped by my director. I can say pretty distinctively that no day for me is the exact same. Some of the cool stuff I've been invited to do that's been fantastic for me is I do get pulled into a panel like saying, hey, this is what our brand strategy is for the Olympics. What do you think about it? And I get to, sound off myself and say, oh, well, I think this is good. This isn't, maybe not so great. And, I get to stretch myself a lot more than just esports. Uh, Being a representative of the millennial generation. When you talk marketing, millennials is almost kind of thrown around as a buzzword, and actually being a millennial, a lot of people really value your opinion when it comes to marketing because it's what everyone wants to chase right now. And I can pretty much tell them at least where a certain segment of them are.
Sure. So, with esports in mind, when you're bringing up in these meetings, what is your goal? What is in your head? What are you running through with the esports lens, so to speak?
So I get called an evangelist a lot. I am the esports and gaming evangelist at Coke. I mean, Matt and I do it a lot. We work on a very heavy regimen of education because gaming is not very well understood, especially by executives who are 30 and up. A couple of them may have played video games when they were younger, like even back to like the SNES. I actually had some guy saying, "Oh yeah, I still have my Atari 2600," and I'm like, "Oh man." I could probably dig that out of my parents' closet somewhere. But yeah, so we kind of have to update them because a lot of people have this weird stereotype or misconception of video games and gamers from like the early 2000s, even like the late 90s. And gaming and esports has really changed the landscape so much. We're not looking at the same people we used to be. And so, yeah, we do a lot of instruction. It's a lot of pitching ideas, pitching our projects, telling people how they can incorporate gaming and esports into things that they're doing. How do you reach people nowadays? If you actually look, we started the @Coke Esports Twitter account, which I actually have the privilege to write and manage a good bit. And we have reached 237,000 followers, I think, in the past 6 months. We started that in either June or July. It was like either late June, early July. And our success there has been phenomenal. We passed a lot of brands in the Coke company that have been on there for about 4 years. So we actually do get to walk around with a lot of clout saying, hey, we were able to reach this many people in such a short amount of time using the power of gaming. And that's really a pretty heavy dose of what we do.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like it's a lot of community building. Am I getting that correct? It's a lot of community building and sort of building the Coke brand in esports. So, I mean, what do you feel is being effective, and what do you feel could be better? I mean, what is the main focus for Coke that you're trying to steer the direction into?
So, brand equity is kind of what I'm in the business of. When we're talking about marketing, especially on a global scale, although the end product you always want to do is volume sales. I mean, that's the brass tacks of it all. Is I need to make sure that people are buying Coke or Coke products. And I mean, as much as I don't like the sound of that, like I hear it in my head and I'm like, oh, that's so corporate. That's so bad. But end of the day, that's what actually is going to get my bills paid. So what I try and do is I try and make you think every time you think Coke, you think, oh, that's the brand that understands my passion in gaming. They're the guys that are actively out there and supporting before anyone else really was. And I will say we were not the first, brand out there. There were a lot of tech companies that were doing very good work before us, but us coming from outside of the gaming and electronics lens, we have a lot of weight thrust upon us for kind of being the first. I'm going to use air quotes there. Being the first ones out there, and we had some initial things out there quite a while ago. God, I really just did the glasses tilt with my finger. That is
like that's the ultimate nerd thing, but I love
that
it
is
anyway.
the ultimate nerd thing. I need to put actually in here. So getting back to it, we really have to make it a positive statement when people think Coke and esports. So that really began with the League of Legends partnership, which was fantastic. I absolutely love working with the people from Riot. They've been absolutely outstanding partners. The Challenger Series, by our metrics, was a great success last year, and we hope to continue being able to be active in spaces like League of Legends, places like Hearthstone, which we also had an activation for at the end of the last year, and we even ran a charity gaming tournament at Coke headquarters called Gameathon, on which we had partnered with Twitch, and we had Voyboy, Justin Flynn, Swifter, and John Carnage all duking it out on stage for charity, and that was absolutely fantastic. That was a completely amazing event. It was one of the first ones where I got to do a lot of logistics planning. A lot of times when we do events, we'll hire an agency who will do a lot of the logistics, which makes my life a lot easier because I'm not fantastic with logistics, so we rely heavily on them. But it's been that was an amazing activation to be a part of.
Yeah, and I'm sure putting Lux or Lulu on a Coke can really does help the branding of Coke.
Yeah, that was that was something we did explicitly for the World Championships, and we got so many requests over social media to say. I think there was also a Reddit thread that was 30 comments deep of please bring NA, please bring BR. I think one of them was please bring Kazakhstan, and I'm like, if I can't get this to the U.S., what makes me think I'm going to come out to Kazakhstan and be like, here, custom Coke bottle, right to you. But yeah, we got a lot of people asking for them, so we're looking at what would be the best way if we were to do it. There are a lot of pitfalls when it comes to putting, even though it's such a popular game with tons of fans, there are so many pitfalls when it comes to putting characters and gaming IP on cans. You would not believe it. One of the ones I'll actually share with you was when we were working in Korea. There are a lot of parent groups out there, groups of concerned parents who don't look so favorably on the soda industry, and they also don't look positively on the gaming industry. So when we went to go put League of Legends characters on cans, we got a warning from our PR team in Korea saying, hey guys, you can put characters on cans, but please stay away from anything that looks like a real weapon. So think about how many characters in League of Legends actually have semi-realistic weapons.
We're not going to have...
Yeah,
he doesn't carry a weapon.
Yeah, who needs a weapon? But no, Garen with his sword, or Shaco, or a whole bunch of them. So we're kind of left with a barrel of champions that may or may not be as popular as some others, but we got a good turnout of the 5 we put on, and it was actually really cool. I went to the World Championships last year, and it was really cool to walk down the street in Korea and see a bottle that you actually designed out for sale in a store, and I'm like, yes, yes, that's me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, you make tons of decisions. So, I guess my question is, when something hits your desk, or when something kind of piques your interest, what's the first thing that pops in your head? Is like how we're gonna do it, or, do you see the grand vision right away? What's going through your head?
So I tend to start off big picture. I try and look at it as broadly as I can, and I get tasked with the special thing of I'm allowed to look at it from a gamer perspective. It's one of the things that makes me unique in the company is that I actually come on as an expert. That's actually not usually our MO for marketing. A lot of people are, they're marketers. They had a marketing degree. They went through the local markets, which means you start off with usually a business unit, or you start out in a local market, which is like, oh, I work in United States, I work in Brazil, Uruguay, France, what have you. I actually kind of got a super uh, speeded up version where I went straight to corporate, which is very odd. And it was largely just for this expertise. So that's what I'm tasked with doing, is looking at it from the gamer angle. Because one of our core tenets is authenticity. We don't want to step into the space and, overstep our welcome. We don't want to go out there and say, oh, we automatically know everything, because we don't. We don't. I may be a big League of Legends fan, but I'm not going to, set Coke up there to walk into the League of Legends room and say, we know what's what, and you're going to automatically respect that, because we know we don't have that authority. So we try and, take our small steps and be authentic to the space as possible. And if I can keep us authentic, I think we have a very good chance of succeeding. So I'll take a look at it from the gamer angle. We'll usually pull in somebody else, maybe from a different team, to also look at the property, and they'll sound off. They'll say, I don't know, a normal person might not get this, because as much as we want to, market directly to gamers, we also have to realize that whatever we do is going to be on such a large stream that a normal person might not catch it, and if they have a negative connotation towards it, we have to, cut that off at the source. So usually I get the gamer perspective, and I get it going at a nice, big, large angle, and then we kind of bring in people to shave it down from there.
Cool. So when you're talking about bringing in from the gamer's angle, in your head, what's the most important thing that like defines that gamer angle? Is it the passion of it? Is it the authenticity? Is it, what it's going to be used for?
Mm-hmm. I think it's a lot of making sure that whatever we do with gaming doesn't sound like the same old thing you've heard before. We want it to be explicitly different from what we do with sports, what we do with other passions like music. When we say we're doing something in gaming, we want it to be a one-of-a-kind experience. So if we can do that, we think we can avoid a lot of the toxicity, because, let's not lie, we all know that there's toxicity out there in the environment.
Sure.
It's not. This is really when a lot of brands look at things like esports and gaming. This is the thing that scares them, is the fact that all it takes is one thing gone wrong, and you suddenly are number one on Reddit for why you screwed up, and that's very scary for a brand. Brand marketing is not a place where you can fail safely. That's why we take small steps. If our footing isn't 100% solid, we can kind of back out a little bit. But if you're going to go out there and take that huge leap, that big first step, and you're not 100% on solid ground, you're going to end up on your face.
Yeah. So from your perspective, are you looking? Of course, you have to look at it from the Grand Coke's perspective of, yeah, we want to make everything work. How comfortable is Coke, or how comfortable are you with sort of maybe pushing up for a risk, or taking a little bit more of a risk?
So because we are a newer property, we're a newer passion, we do get a little bit more leash than other people. We can go out and maybe do things people haven't heard of, because it's kind of what they expect from us. When we started the Coke Esports Twitter account, that in itself was actually a big step forward and a large risk that the company usually doesn't take. If you look at our Twitter activity as a company, we have a brand Twitter account. You have the Coca-Cola account, the Diet Coke account, the Coke Zero account. Well, doing one explicitly for a passion point and for a marketing activation, it was a little bit unheard of because that's just not how we create our communities. So they not only let us have this account, they gave us free reign over the account, which means that Matt and I will, we write almost 100% of everything that goes out on that account. And a lot of the times I'm given free reign to write when we do real-time marketing during the World Playoffs. I would actually tweet out, results of games, congratulating winners of almost every game after a playoff or a series. And that's not something that happens at Coke. There's usually got to be like at least a chain of like 3 people signing off on a tweet before it goes out. And I was given almost free reign to write tweets on the fly, which that's a big step forward for the Coke company, I think, in my opinion. And I think it's something you're going to see a lot more from other companies. But I also had to go through training for that. I had to learn something that's called brand tonality, which is how do you speak as if you are a brand. Because when I write on the account, I'm not writing as, Dylan Hornibrook, manager of this account. I am writing as Coke Esports. And that's a completely separate person. That is not me. That is the brand. And, learning how to do that is, it's very tricky. And once again, this goes with the authenticity thing, like hand in hand. You know how you'll see brands like Taco Bell go out and say like, oh man, getting this taco at 11 p.m. is my bay. And I'm like, that's just so inappropriate to put out on like your grand social media. Like that's not what you should be doing. You're a $1 billion company. Don't do that. So we don't do that. And, it's just really kind of, so much of it is like common sense stuff that just some people don't adhere to. So try and keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I think we've pretty much covered a lot of it. I mean, the last thing I wanted to bring up is where do you see maybe Coke going in the future of esports, and maybe if you wanted to go with the mission statement for you, what you wanted to accomplish with Coke, sort of your mindset of that.
So, you know what? My mindset of where I want to go with Coke and where I see myself with Coke is actually something I really had to personally search for at the end of last year. The end of last year was kind of the end of my first year at Coke, and I had been in on a consultant's contract, which means my contract had actually ended. It was supposed to end in October, but I was doing such a good job they extended me through December. And then when we got to December, it was actually a point my boss had brought up to me and said, Dylan, I like the work you're doing here. You're doing good work. But if you want to go join Riot, I'd understand. I wasn't tied by contract. And he would have written me like a glowing letter of recommendation. I had been at Riot for an internship before. So I had some of the connections maybe to get out there. I don't know. I still would have had to apply. And they get so many good. So many people applying nowadays.
Yeah.
Even with my experience, it would not have been a 100% thing. But still, I looked at the whole situation and I said, you know what? I could do a lot of good as part of a team with the group at Riot. But I looked at Coca-Cola, this company that was, heading out into the waters of esports, and I had kind of been the guiding light for about a year, and I kind of felt to myself, it's like, if I leave now, I know Matt's a smart person, and he's going to do some great things, but I think I could just do so much good for essentially gaming and esports in general by, still being a part of this team that's trying to bring, brand name sponsorship to the space. So I kind of, went back to my boss and I said, hey, I want to be here. This is, where I want to be. This is where I feel I can do a lot of good for gaming as a passion and maybe even as a new sport. I think this is going to be essentially a new brand of marketing that a lot of companies are going to have to pick up. And if I can be on the ground floor here shaping what that world's going to look like, I think that's just, that's icing on the cake. And I'm not going to be given that same, level of freedom everywhere I go. So that's kind of where I see myself at Coke, is kind of being this beacon in a fog almost, where we're pushing the ship along kind of at a slow pace, trying to make sure that everything's clear before we get there. And it's just my job to, clear the fog, maybe that extra, 6-7 feet in front of the bow. And that was the front of the boat, right? I'm never sure.
Not
I shouldn't have used a boat term.
the
I'm
stern.
completely out of
Is
my
the stern
depth
the
there.
back? The stern is the back. Stern.
I have no idea. Why did I use a boat analogy? I don't sail. It's like the worst thing I could do.
Stern is the back. So yes.
Stern is the back. So I was right.
Yes,
the bow is
you
the
were.
front. Fantastic. So where do I see Coke? Well, Coke, I think, is, we made a name for ourselves by being kind of the first big brand to enter the space that wasn't a technological or electronics firm. And what I'd really love to see from Coke, I can't say, this is what we're doing, because all of that's under
Of
an
course.
NDA, and I don't want to get fired. But where I see Coke really stepping up is, I think that there's a lot of great stuff in esports right now, but I think it's a little too loose. Imagine every game in itself is kind of like a planet right now. And what we have is we have a lot of great planets, and we have some very big planets out there. We have some, you have your League of Legends monolith floating out there in space, and then Dota 2 is, it's a very large thing in itself, and CSGO and Hearthstone, and, everyone's out there floating around, but nothing's really bringing them together. So I think if we can work on what it is that brings esports together as a whole, whether that needs to be like its own IOC, or by the way, IOC is the International Olympics Committee. Yeah, I think it's committee. That's the group that takes care of the Olympics. If there's something in that vein that we can help build or structure or sponsor, because we think that there's a really bright future in esports and gaming, but it needs to be solidified. And if we can work to help solidify what that whole process is going to look like, I think there's nothing but gain for us there. Even if we have to take smaller, lighter steps to get there, we're not going to rush out. Big bang right in the middle of this world, starborn. Everybody huddles around the star. But if we can start that slow kindling process to eventually, create something that's stable there, where we're not burning the planets alive, and we're not either getting the planets to implode upon us. I think that's the key.
Awesome, man. So, Dylan, thank you for being on. I think that's a great note to end off on. Any closing comments? Any closing remarks that you want to go ahead and make?
Yeah. I think the one that it needs to be said the most, and it's something that you see it a lot in online comms when a lot of people talk about how do I get my start in esports. And I mean, I told you my story a little bit, and the main thing is you always have to be working on something, because I can tell you there are very few people in the esports world that can afford to be stagnant. If you're not working as part of a community, working on heading an organization, working on doing a new broadcast, finding a new way to produce news. If you are literally just sitting there spinning your wheels saying, why isn't someone hiring me? Chances are that offer to get hired is never going to come. So if esports is really the world you want to be in, and you want to be it from a business side or a community side or something, please do yourself the favor and go out there and find something to do. Because the longer you spend doing nothing is it's utter time being wasted, because no one's looking for the guy that can't start himself. So go out there, be a self-starter, get involved, and I'll tell you, you'll never know where your connections will take you. As I said, I started out just doing local broadcasting in colleges. And I mean, at my college. And then, one step further, spread that out to other colleges. The next step was I got an internship at Riot. The next step after that, I actually contacted my boss via LinkedIn trying to get a sponsorship for Georgia Tech. And just through talking with him, he saw what I knew. He saw that I had a good mind for it. and that's how I got my job offer for Coke. So, you know, go out there, do something, build connections, and then don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. You will never know where it'll take you. If you had told me 2 years ago I'd be working at Coke doing marketing for gaming, I would have laughed at your face. I wouldn't have thought it was possible. And here I sit today. So yeah, just be bold, take that extra step, start yourself, and stay active.
Awesome. Some good advice to close out on. Dylan, thank you so much. Guys, we're going to be back with more industry mind games. Maybe change the name, maybe change the overlay. I don't know yet. This is still brand new. But yeah, thank you for watching, and hope you have a good day.